So here's the official story. In 1964, a woman was brutally murdered on her way home from work in Kew Gardens in Queens. 38 people witnessed her attack from their windows and did nothing to stop the tragedy unfolding before them, even as their attacker left and came back. This shows the bystander effect, the idea that people are less likely to help when surrounded by people because of the assumption that others can help instead. The bystander effect is an example of urban apathy, of how those in big cities become secluded and sick in their environment, from the loneliness of being constantly with others. How dreadful. And also bullshit. First of all, this story was published in 1964 by the New York Times with a clear agenda: shine a light on urban apathy. You see, in the 1960s, urban areas existed in the collective American imagination as bad places with bad people. After World War II, a new middle class came back from wartime and started a phenomenon known as white flight. White middle-class people left the cities in droves to go live in shiny new suburban homes. That left Black people, Puerto Ricans, single working women, immigrants, disabled people, and queers in the city. To the suburban view, those were the bad people, making the cities in which they lived the bad place. So, New York Times saw an opportunity with this story. They published, and later reports suggest that 38 witnesses was a pretty egregious overstatement, and many witnesses maintained that they did call the police. They talked all about these apathetic neighbors, this stalking killer, this gruesome scene. People across the nation responded with, "Look at those city people, look at what they do to each other," and see what happens when women don't have a man to take care of her. It was a story waved in the face of a generation of uppity girls who wanted to be independent. But who was she? Her name was Kitty Genovese. She was the oldest of 5 in an Italian-American family. She was a bar manager at a place called Ev's 11th Hour. The patrons at her bar loved her and asked for her by name. She got caught on a gambling charge there once, but patrons at the bar managed to help her out. She was a lesbian. Her lover was named Marianne Zielonko, who's still alive today. I'd like to think they would have gotten married one day. New York Times knew this about Kitty, considering they interrogated Marianne and asked many invasive questions about her and Kitty's relationship and how they had sex, but they didn't publish it. Kitty didn't matter to them. People with less privilege are more likely to experience violence, and people with intersecting disadvantages are even more so at risk. As a bystander, you can help. If you're a man and you see a woman being pressured to have sex, or you're white and you see a person of color being threatened, or you're straight and you see a queer person being harassed for their sexual or gender identity, you have the power to help. But acknowledge that difference in identity. Just because we all bleed red doesn't mean we both have knives in our back. People in crisis are not tools. They're not teachable moments. They're not characters in a parable about the human condition. They're people. They have their own personal history, their own lives, their own friends, their own family, who care for them and want you to help them, and they matter. And their crisis is not about you. And your response shouldn't be either.